Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of New Music Finds, number 73. So this is where I like to collect together all the different bands and artists that I've purchased over the past week and present it to you. And I get it from different places like my local record store, and I actually hit up a brand new one for me called Station One Records. I'll talk a bit more about that when we get to it in the segment. But I also get other stuff from online shopping like Amazon, eBay, and more. And I got a good amount of stuff here to go through with you. But before we dive into all of that, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this with New Music Finds, episode number 73. And so as always, we kick off with brand new releases, and we got 4 really cool ones this past Friday, which was July 8th of 2022. First one up was a major one for me, and the reason I'm wearing this great Journey t-shirt here, Journey Freedom, brand new album, first one in, at this point, over a decade. Last one was 2011, and it was the album Eclipse. So this one here, third one with Arnel Pineda, current vocalist with the band who's been with the group since 2007. And I like the album a lot. Now, it's a very modern sounding record in my opinion here. In fact, my only complaint on it, and I do like it a lot, I have done a full review of this, I'll leave a link in the description, but is that you don't really hear Jonathan Cain. I'm sure he's on there, I'm sure we're physically hearing him, but I mean his style, the sound that he brought to the band for so many years doesn't seem to be there. And they've hired a second keyboardist, Jason Derlatka, and no, offense to him or anything of that nature, but I think that maybe that more modern era sound is coming from his direction. I could be wrong, could be strictly all Neil Sean in his direction and what he's telling people to play, don't know. But yeah, that's my take on this. And as I said, I do like it. There's a lot of Journey flourishes, sort of the traditional elements of Journey in there. And there's certain songs that are very classic sounding. It's just, it sort of alternates between that. But I like that they're trying new things and they're breaking some new ground and so forth. The band has been around 49 years. And so more power to them. Let them try some new stuff. And I kind of hope this kicks off sort of a new resurgence for the band. We don't have to wait another decade for an album kind of a thing here. If trying some new stuff sort of re-energizes them, then great, let them do it. Let's get some new music. Now, on a side note to all of that, a lot of you guys have mentioned that you don't like the mix on it or the quality of recording, that you think it sounds muddy or so forth. And I will say, yes, it is not as pristine as some of their past recordings, but it doesn't really bother me on here. There is a lot going on within it, and I don't really know why the mix is the way that it is, but the last couple releases have had some different sounds to it and things, and maybe that's just all part of the new style that they're trying, but it works for me. I'm happy with it. Give it a listen, see what you think on it, and I guess go from there. So, good album though. Definitely worth checking out in my opinion. And as I said, I did a full review that you could check out if you want more info on it. Now here is another big one in my opinion. Brand new album from Neil Young and Crazy Horse called Toast, although it is 21 years old. It came out back in 2001, or didn't come out, recorded back in 2001, and just shelved, didn't get released at the time, and finally seeing the light of day now. Neil has said that he didn't release it at the time because the album was too sad, but 4 of the songs would later turn up on Are You Passionate, which came out in 2002. So 3 of the songs remained unreleased, and you are getting them for the first time on here. The songs Standing in the Light of Love, Timberline, and Gateway of Love are those 3 that are unreleased. And really great songs. Don't know why they never made it onto another album. They are my 3 favorites off of this album. They're also the rockin' songs. Great to have the horse rocking again. The last 2 albums with Nils Lofgren, and no slight to him, but just didn't really rock very hard. This one here is back to what I love from Crazy Horse. So glad to be getting that one at this point. All right, then we got a greatest hits from Nelson, and wasn't expecting too much from this. It does span their whole catalog, but I have to say from the time of putting it on, those remastered, newer mixed versions of things that are on here, going all the way back to their debut album After the Rain. Just really worked all the way up to present album from 2015, Peace Out, which they say is their last album. We'll have to wait and see. But just, it worked for me. I was enjoying this, made me pull out the debut. I'll probably pull out some more stuff from them. There's a couple unreleased songs, soundtrack songs, new acoustic recordings, stuff like that. So there's a few things on there to pull in us fans who already own all of the albums, but also if you are you just know them from that original first album. All of the material is very much in that vein that's on here. You wouldn't really know that it spans their whole career because they've just been that good all the way through. All right, so here's a pretty cool thing that I bet a bunch of you guys either have picked up and or want, but Dio Holy Diver box set, 4 CDs in this thing. New art that's on the cover of it, book edition of things. That's what comes on the back side of it there, telling you what's in it, and just a cool book that's inside here going through the history of this album and so forth. It's got lyrics, but it's also got a segment in it where they talk about what I picked it up for, which is the remix that's included in here, a new remix of the album. And a lot of guys were curious, well, what's the differences between it? And the first mix, the original mix of this thing, is a much more raw, dirty sound of the era, 1983. When this came out, new wave of British heavy metal was booming at that time, and very much sort of do-it-yourself vibe to everything. And this album was a lot like that because Ronnie wanted to make it on his own terms, and even had his sound engineer mix the album and stuff instead of going out getting, say, a professional or well-known, person for it. I believe it's produced in-house as well. But you got that vibe from it, and great mix. I mean, I still love the classic thing here, but that's all cleaned up here. So a lot of that rawness and the rough edges have been removed from it. It's been brightened up. All the instrumentation is given room to breathe and stand on its own, and the things that were in the background kind of pulled to the forefront and stuff like that on it. So not an immediate recognizable difference, but if you're listening for it and you know the classic sound, when you put this on, you will hear a difference to it. For the average person, probably not so much, but what I have to say is the original album, and I didn't grow up with it, never really clicked with me, and I love the tracks and stuff like that, but I didn't grow up with that era of Dio. I grew up with the later era starting in around 1990 on. And so this new mix of it works really well for me, and maybe that's what it's intended for, the more modern fans who don't know or didn't grow up with that 80s era vibe to hear this and hear something that's mixed present day for that. So definitely pulling that off in my opinion. You also get in here, of course, the remastered version of it, and you get Live in Fresno 1983, a really cool live recording in here, 12 tracks. Well, actually 11 tracks. There's an intro on here. And then CD4, which is a cool one, which is outtakes, singles, and B-sides. And a cool thing, I didn't know this at the time, but Evil Eyes, which doesn't appear on this album, would later appear on the next album, Last in Line. And I never picked up on that, thought it was an outtake because I didn't see it on the album until later I went to pull out Last in Line to listen to because I wanted some more Dio, and I found that, but this is a different version of it. And you get some different outtakes and things of that nature, alternate versions, things of that on it, but no other unreleased songs or B-sides kind of stuff on it. And nothing that you haven't heard before, meaning a song that was fully written and just never released. Unfortunately, Dio just didn't seem to really do that. They came up with an idea, they fully developed it, turned it into a song, it made the album. They didn't really demo a bunch of things and then pick ones to work on. Black Sabbath was kind of the same way. So just, I guess, kind of continued into the era with Rainbow and Dio there, or for Dio. All right, I picked up some catalog albums, picked up Poco Legend 1978 album, their most famous, I guess, at least that's biggest charting, that kind of thing. And I had picked up the album Legend, used at a record store, was really enjoying that, wanted some more, so I picked that up. And then this one here, just reissued on Wounded Bird, Brownsville Station, No BS, the debut album. I've noticed this, I don't know if you guys have picked it up or if it'll come across in there. The quality of printing from Wounded Bird has seemed to have gone down. The stuff is more fuzzy than it used to be. Not as high quality as their prints have been in the past. Don't know if that's just a couple that are recent ones that I've gotten and or if that's going to be the way things are. But yeah, so just I was kind of disappointed in that aspect. But sounds good, and I haven't had the album, so I'm glad to get it. I'm hoping the rest of the Brownsville Station stuff gets reissued. Brownsville, when they dropped the name, part of their name, Station, Air Special is available on Rock Candy Records, and in my opinion is their best album. So if you want something else by Brownsville Station, you could check that out, and I do have that. I need all the ones that are in between it. Next up, I hit a brand new record store for me, Station 1 Records in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. Kind of cool. It's an old train station depot that has been converted now into a record store. A lot of twists and turns in there, different rooms, and it's got everything from vinyl, CDs, cassettes, books, magazines, 7 inches, VHS tapes, DVDs, even stereo equipment. So a lot of cool stuff in there to check out. I went in, initially thought I was only in there for about 30 minutes and came out and checked the meter and had spent 2 hours in there. So you can easily lose some time in this place. And I found a few cool things that were in there, including this Motorhead, the best of. It's a Roadrunner Records release of the earlier era of the band. Just had a cool cover on it. I've never owned a best of, at least not in this regard. And ones in the past have always included some covers and different things from the very early on career, some 7 inches and stuff that they did, and that was never really the sound of the band. So when I saw this and it didn't have those on it, it made me want to jump on this and enjoy it. And then this one here, I know probably surprised a bunch of you when you saw it in the Let's Go to the Record Store video. UK Night After Night live album. I don't usually buy live albums, but as I was mentioning in that video, one, big fan of Yes and related bands and John Wetton and From Asia and so forth, King Crimson, prog rock, I love all that. But I'm finding that I like live albums from the 70s and 80s where they're in big arenas and stuff like that, and you hear the overall low rumble of the crowd noise and it kind of dies away during the songs, as opposed to club dates where you hear the individual person hoot and holler and yell, and that always kind of throws me off. But sort of finding that out about myself. So never thought I really enjoyed live albums, but the more and more I get into this and the more and more you guys ask about it, it's making me really sort of investigate that and figure that out. So definitely enjoying that, and saw this and decided to give it a shot because I knew what era it was. I think it was recorded in '79. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot, and I enjoyed the whole thing. All right, this next one here is actually just replacing one that I've got. Pink Floyd, Endless River. I've got a box set of this, but never had the standalone disc. And so wanted one of these to be able to put up on the wall of wonder and enjoy it along with all of the others. And, you know, not having it with the collection has always kind of bothered me. Love the box set and the bonus material that comes with it, so certainly not getting rid of that. But picked that up, and at only $6, it was, you know, worth it to go ahead and purchase and have in the collection. And then this one was a new one for me. Steamhammer, 1972 album. I think they started in 68 or 69. Prog group. 3 tracks on this, sort of early proto-metal sort of sounding stuff. Starts acoustically, but then kicks in and rocks pretty good sort of stuff. This one here called Speech, and didn't know much about it, but I recognized the album cover. Just one of those ones that I oftentimes see pop up in best album cover type books. So it pulled me in, and you know what? It's kind of like old school record store shopping days when I would buy things based on a cool album cover and give it a try. Now, I did know a little bit about this band and the era and stuff like that and so forth, but at the same time, I did take a chance on it and was glad that I did. Okay, and I also then, on my way back from Station 1, had to stop by what is my current favorite new record store, Sound Exchange in Wayne, New Jersey. And even though I had been there 4 times the previous week, I still managed to walk away with 4 things. And I can't believe I didn't see this one originally, although maybe it wasn't out when I was there. The Fix Missing Links, outtakes, B-sides, rarities, that kind of stuff. An album worth 11 tracks of stuff like that, released I think in the 2000s. I love The Fix, and this is an album that's been hard to get, although I looked it up and I did find that I could get it for about 20 bucks, give or take. This one here, I paid, $13.98, still sealed in plastic, factory sealed. So great deal on that. Didn't have to buy a used copy at 20 bucks and pay $4 in shipping, kind of a thing. So found that. That was a good one. Then I found this, Wall of Voodoo, Call of the West. This one here, don't know which album this is, but it came out 1982 and of course has their big hit Mexican Radio. But I also like the song Lost Weekend that's on here. And I'm a fan of Stan Ridgway, so that was cool, fine. I have a greatest hits of theirs, but didn't actually own any albums individually by the band. And it was one of those weird ones where staring at the cover, I had to really think about it because I know that album cover so well. I thought perhaps I had bought it or had a version, or maybe a two for, different albums on one, two albums on one disc kind of a thing. Got home, double checked, didn't have it, and thank goodness. Keeping 11,000 albums up here, it is starting to get difficult. But yeah, lucked out, didn't already have that one. Went in, and you guys know from a couple past buys, I've been buying some Timothy B. Schmidt stuff, which is what also tied over into Poco, and why I had picked up Legend, even though, and then Legacy also in there, even though he's not on it, but Timothy B. Schmidt, who went on to the Eagles after leaving Poco. And this album here, Play It Cool, I believe this is 1982, 84 actually, on here, and it looks like it was reissued 2014-15, hard to see. But this one was definitely not out. I asked the store manager owner about it when I got up to the counter, and sure enough it wasn't, but he had seen that he sold two Timothy B. Schmidt albums earlier in the week. He checked his understock and he found this and he put this out, and luckily when I went back, I'm the one who found it because I bought those two Timothy B. Schmidt albums from him. So that was pretty cool, and it was funny because he was telling me that someone had bought some earlier in the week, and I'm like, hey, it was me. So that was a lot of fun there. And then I found this, and this is one that I've never picked up, and I've always bypassed it, and then it just seemed like the right thing at the right time. Love Mongers, Whirligig, Heart members. We got Ann and Nancy Wilson there, and something they did around, I think, 1995, around that time frame, middle 90s, trying something new, not Heart. And I always sort of had the feeling this was more of a grunge era album, that it didn't sound like Heart. And I don't really know why that was. I put this on, and there's some differences, meaning Anne has some filters on her voice at different times and things, not for full tracks. But for the most part, it sounds like a Heart album, a 90s era Heart album. But yeah, just the right thing at the right time, and I love it when that works out. They had a Japanese edition in there, I think for 40 bucks, that I was about to buy, and then luckily I found this one sealed in plastic, $13.98, a US edition of it. There was 3 bonus tracks on the other, but I didn't really want to pay $40 versus $14. Nice little savings there. Love it when that happens, especially when you find that in the same store you're shopping in, and you get 2 different versions that you could choose from like that. So there you go, 14 things, a lot of cool stuff there. Had another great week of finds, both new releases that came out, great stuff, and of course hitting up local record stores and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Certainly have a great day, and I'll be talking to you real soon. Bye-bye, everyone.